Hello and welcome to the history of the Boston area movie theaters for 1960 to 1969. Here are the 1960 movie listings. (1960) The South Shore Drive-In in Braintree is opened by General Drive-Ins on July 21st. The cinema in Franklin opens on October 10th. The Fine Arts Theater opens. The Capri Theater in Lowell opens. The Neshoba Valley Drive-In in Boxborough opens. The shareholders that owned the Translux forced the theater to be renamed State for showing sex films. These theaters closed in 1960. 1961. The University Theater in Cambridge becomes the Harvard Square Cinema. The Capri Theater in Lowell closes. 1962. The E.M. Lowe's Strand becomes the second Capri Theater on July 6 as SAC Theaters moves the sign from the old location. The Arche-O Metropolitan becomes the SAC Music Hall on July 13. The Telepix Theater is taken over by Dates Theaters, who renames it the Park Square Cinema on September 26. The cinema in Norwood opens on November 14. The Meadow Glen Drive-In in Medford adds its second screen. These theaters closed in 1962. 1963. The Kenmore Square Cinema opens on May 29. Also on May 29, General Cinema opens the North Shore Cinema 1 and 2 in Peabody, the first indoor twin cinema in the Boston area. On November 7, E.M. Lowe's opens the West End Cinema at the site of the old Lancaster Theatre. On December 20, New England Theatres opens the Parkway Plaza Theatre in Chelsea. The Route 114 Drive-In in Middleton opens. The Starlight Drive-In in North Reading is opened by Redstone Theatres. The Fenway Theater starts to show adult movies. These theaters closed in 1963. 1964. The Paris Cinema opens on February 6.
The Paris was not a SAC theater when it enjoyed its heyday in the late 60s and early 70s. It was forewalled by Joseph E. Levine of Embassy Pictures, which became AFCO Embassy during the lease, to show The Graduate, The Producers and The Lion in winter because Levine was still having a blood feud with Ben SAC over SAC's 1965 exhibition of Levine's release, Darling, and no way was Joe gonna let Ben make any money off him. The feud was finally settled when SAC booked The Night Porter from Joe in 1974. Know this because I handled the PR for them, God forgive me.
In Cambridge, the Esquire Cinema opens on February 14. The General Cinema Shoppers World Cinema adds its second screen on May 20, becoming the largest twin cinema in the country. The Route 3 Cinema 1 and 2 in Chelmsford opens on June 2. The Fairmount Theater in Hyde Park reopens. These theaters closed in 1964. 1965. On March 31st, the Symphony Theater opens. The Showcase Cinemas 1 and 2 in Lawrence opens on June 23 by Redstone Theaters, their first indoor theater. General Cinema opens the Saugus Cinema on June 23. On August 2, the Memorial Theatre becomes the Savoy as SAC Theatres takes it over. The Symphony 2 opens on November 3. The General Cinema Fresh Pond Cinema opens in Cambridge on November 24. The Circle Theatre in Brookline is reopened by Redstone after renovations on November 24. The Pilgrim Theatre starts to show adult movies. The Strand Theatre in Lowell becomes part of the Esquire Theatre chain. The Fairmount Theatre in Hyde Park closes.
Look out! Here comes the biggest Bond of all. Thunderball.
(1966). SAC opens the Cherie Theatre on February 17. It is named after the cruise ship that the owner and his wife spent their honeymoon on. General Cinema opens the South Shore Cinema 1 and 2 in Braintree on November 16. The Cinema 95 Drive-In in Georgetown opens. The Lowe's Orpheum is sold to new owners. The Granada Theater in Malden adds its second screen. These theaters closed in 1966. 1967. On January 1, the Route 3 Cinema City in Chelmsford expands to 3 screens, becoming the first triple-screen cinema in the country. On April 7, Walter Reed opens the Charles Cinema. General Cinema opens the Stoneham Cinema on May 3. The Paramount becomes part of General Cinema in May. SAC Cherie 2 and 3 opens on July 11. E.M. Lowe's opens the Park Cinema. The Mayflower Theatre starts to show adult movies. These theaters closed in 1967. 1968. The Abbey Cinema opens on March 27. General Cinema opens the Burlington Mall Cinema 1 and 2 on June 29. Lowe's opens the Natick Theatre on December 25. The new cinema in Watertown opens. The Route 3 Cinema in Chelmsford adds its 4th screen. These theaters closed in 1968. 1969. The Esquire in Cambridge becomes the Orson Welles Cinema on April 8. The Central Square Cinema 1 and 2 in Cambridge opens on July 2. Sack Theatres opens the Pie Alley Cinema on December 25. The Academy Twin in Newton opens on December 27. The cinema in Needham opens. The North Shore Cinema in Gloucester adds its second screen. The Medford Theatre adds its second screen. These theatres closed in 1969. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe.